If you're Gen X and you're raising Gen Z kids, you probably think they're from another planet. And honestly, their brains literally are wired differently. Not worse, not better, just different. While you were learning independence on the streets, they were learning connection through screens. While your biggest fear was missing a phone call, their biggest fear is missing out on what everyone's talking about online. But here's the crazy part. Neither of you chose this. Your brains were shaped by when you were born. The world you grew up in literally rewired your neurons in ways that Gen Z will never experience, and Gen Z's world did the same to them. Today, we're going to understand exactly why you and your Gen Z kid think so differently. And by the end of this video, you're going to stop thinking they're lazy and realize they're just adapted to a completely different world. Let's start with you, Gen X, the latchkey generation. Remember when your parents said, "We'll be home at 6, figure it out"? That wasn't neglect. That was the 1980s and 1990s. That was normal. Your brain developed in independence. Literally. When you were learning, there was no internet to give you answers. No Google, no YouTube tutorials. If you wanted to know something, you had to figure it out yourself or ask an adult who might not know either. This shaped your brain in a very specific way. Your prefrontal cortex, the part that makes decisions, developed in isolation. You learned resilience, problem-solving, self-reliance. Your dopamine system got trained to reward completion of tasks. You finished something because you had to finish it, not because someone was watching. Your brain is structured for independent thinking, for delayed gratification, for doing things without needing external validation. Then there's the digital divide. You experienced the internet's birth. You remember what life was like before. You can toggle between online and offline. This makes you flexible, but it also makes you skeptical of anything digital. You still don't trust the internet completely, because you remember when it didn't exist. Now let's flip to Gen Z. Gen Z didn't get latchkey childhoods. They got helicopter parents who tracked their every move. They didn't get to figure things out alone because safety concerns were at an all-time high. Stranger danger, child abduction fears. Their brains never learned independence the way yours did. Instead, Gen Z's brains developed in community, constant connection, always online, always part of a group. Their dopamine system got trained to reward validation, likes, comments, shares. Their brain doesn't just reward finishing a task, it rewards being seen finishing a task. This is neurologically different. It's not a choice. It's how their brains literally developed. Gen Z also grew up with smartphones from age 5. They didn't experience the pre-internet world. For them, being offline is the strange thing. They can't toggle between online and offline the way you can, because they've never had an offline life. Their brain is structured for collaboration, for seeking opinions, for needing social feedback. This seems like weakness to Gen X, but it's actually adaptation. In a world where everything requires teamwork and connection, their brains are perfectly optimized. Here's where the neuroscience gets interesting. Your amygdala, the fear center, developed cautiously. Your Gen Z kids' amygdala developed with constant stimulation, literally. Every notification is a small threat. Every message could be bad news. Their nervous system is more reactive than yours. Your Gen X brain learned patience. Gen Z's brain learned urgency. You can wait. They can't. Not because they're impatient, but because neurologically, their brains were trained that waiting is missing something. Let's talk about problem solving. You learned to solve problems alone in silence. Gen Z learned to crowdsource problems online. You think out loud by talking to one person. They think out loud in a Discord server with 500 people. Neither is wrong. They're just different neural pathways. Your brain prefers privacy. Their brain is comfortable with radical transparency. You keep secrets. They share everything. Again, neither is wrong. It's adaptation. Gen Z grew up in a world where privacy doesn't exist, so why hide? Here's the part that blows most Gen X minds. Gen Z isn't depressed because of their phones. They're adapted to a world that requires constant connection. The depression comes when they're forced to be offline, because their brain never learned what silence feels like. Your Gen X brain sometimes feels lonely in our hyper-connected world. Gen Z would feel lost in your silent, independent world. This is crucial. Both brains are valid. Your independence isn't superior. Their collaboration isn't weakness. You were shaped by your era. They were shaped by theirs. You learned to figure things out alone. They learned to figure things out together. You learned to work without recognition. They learned that work without recognition doesn't count. Your brains adapted perfectly to your time. Their brains adapted perfectly to theirs. The problem isn't that one generation is better. The problem is that you're judging their adaptation as if the world hasn't changed. But it has. Radically. And their brains reflect that. So the next time your Gen Z kid asks for your input before making a decision, they're not being weak. They're using the problem-solving system their brain developed. And the next time you solve something alone without asking for help, you're not being a jerk. You're using the system your brain developed. You grew up in a world that valued self-reliance. They grew up in a world that values connection. Neither world required the adaptation the other did. So here's my question for you. Which brain type are you? Are you still Gen X independent? Or have you adapted some Gen Z collaboration? Drop your answer in the comments because I want to know. And if you have Gen X kids or you are Gen Z watching a Gen X parent, share this video with them. Because now you can finally stop judging each other and start understanding that your brains literally developed differently. If this video blew your mind about generational psychology, I've got more content about why you think so differently from people. Like why some people are naturally anxious while others are naturally calm, or why your birth year literally determines your personality type. Subscribe to the channel because every week we break down why your brain works the way it does. And click on one of these videos to watch right now because understanding generations changes everything about how you parent, how you lead, and how you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.